富、名声、力、この世の全てを手に入れた男、海賊王ゴールド・ロジャー。彼の死に際に放った一言は人々を海へ駆り立てた。
俺の財宝か？欲しけりゃくれてやる。探せ、この世の全てをそこに置いてきた。
男たちはグランドラインを目指し夢を追い続ける。世はまさに大海賊時代。
One Piece is the best-selling manga of all time. Let's go back a bit in time and give some context as to how it became what it is today. The 1990s was a volatile time in the manga industry, with Dragon Ball ending, which left a huge hole in the manga industry. Some large manga titles that tried to fill this void were JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Slam Dunk, but these were both more niche stories, with Slam Dunk being a basketball story and JoJo's being catered to a more underground audience. The author of One Piece, Eiichiro Oda, saw this gap and decided he wanted to fill it. Growing up reading series like Dragon Ball, he always wanted to create his own story. So when Dragon Ball ended, he started working on his own one-shot, called Wanted. This one-shot gained popularity and eventually allowed him to create his own long-running manga series, One Piece, which would eventually be adapted into an anime due to its popularity rising so quickly. Now, let's talk about One Piece's story. One Piece doesn't open with its protagonist, or even a living character. The show opens with the story of the previous Pirate King, Gold D. Roger, and the treasure he left behind at the end of the Grand Line, the One Piece. After being introduced to the late Pirate King and the treasure he left behind, we're introduced to our protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy. As a kid, Luffy lived in Fuchsia Village, a small town on his home island. While living there, his island is visited by the Red Hair Pirates. The leader of these pirates, Shanks, acts as a father figure to Luffy and instills in him the dream of becoming the Pirate King. Shanks instills in Luffy many values, such as the idea that pirates weren't just something to be feared, but rather they could be heroic, brave, fun, and a family, with emphasis on the latter since that was something Luffy was missing. We also see Shanks ignore a bandit harassing him, since he knows the bandit isn't worth his time, but Luffy is furious with this and doesn't understand why Shanks would let himself get humiliated like this. This value of choosing your battles is also paralleled later in the series when Luffy and his first crewmate Zoro choose to do something similar. Now going back to Luffy's backstory, after the fight with the bandits, Luffy puts himself in a bad situation and ends up causing Shanks to lose his arm. Luffy then blames himself for causing Shanks to lose his arm, but Shanks consoles him by explaining that he values Luffy's life far more than his arm, since he has another one anyway. Luffy then understands that he's far too weak to become a pirate at the time, and decides to wait until he's older to set out to see himself. Before leaving the island, Shanks gives Luffy his iconic straw hat, and tells him to return his straw hat once Luffy has become a great pirate, giving Luffy the hat he would then treasure in his dream to become the Pirate King. After training for a few years, Luffy eventually beats the Sea King that was guarding the island and took Shanks' arm, and sets off on his own journey to find the One Piece and return the hat that he was given. Themes are a huge part of One Piece. One of the most prevalent themes in the show being the theme of dreams. Every character in One Piece has a dream. They're all complex characters with their own motives and aspirations. To go into further detail, let's talk about each member of Luffy's crew. Luffy's first crew member, Zoro, who's iconic for using 3 swords, wants to become the greatest swordsman. After his rival died at a young age, he promised himself that he would become the greatest swordsman so that his legend would reach as high as heaven itself, and that his rival would know that he achieved his goal of becoming the greatest swordsman. Next, we meet Nami, the crew's navigator. Nami's mother, who was killed by pirates, always loved the maps that Nami drew. After this, Nami decided that she would be the first person to create a map of the entire world, something absurd that wasn't even thinkable at the time. Then we meet Usopp, the sniper of the crew, who's based on the kid who cried wolf. Usopp is a compulsive liar, but we learn he only lies when it's for the benefit of others, whether it's to make someone happy or to try to protect the people who he cares for. As the weakest member of the crew, having to rely on only his wits to get by, his dream is to become a great warrior of the sea. He wishes to become someone that people can rely on, as he wants to overcome his cowardice, which has hurt himself and his loved ones so many times before. The next member of the Straw Hats is the chef of the crew, Sanji. Sanji's dream is to find the legendary sea, the All Blue. When Sanji was young, he read about the All Blue, a rumored sea of legend where all 4 seas met in one spot, where you can find fish from anywhere in the world. While he was constantly told that it was fake, and that even if it was real, he'd never find it, Sanji held on to his dream and is still looking for the All Blue. The next member of the Straw Hats is Chopper, the crew's doctor. Chopper, who was a reindeer who ate the human fruit, was always ostracized by both humanity and the reindeer since he was an abomination to both of them. The one person who accepted him was a doctor. Dr. Hideduk, a doctor who saved Chopper from being shot by hunters and took him in, taught him how to become a doctor. Eventually, the doctor caught an incurable disease and passed away, leaving Chopper heartbroken. This spurred Chopper to want to become a great doctor who would never let anyone else die, dreaming to create a cure for every disease there is. Then we have the 7th member and the historian of the crew, Nico Robin. Robin comes from an island of historians. This island was conducting research on the Void Century, which is a period of time completely wiped from existence, and conducting research on it is illegal. After the world government caught word of this, they burnt the island to the ground, and the only survivor was Nico Robin, whose dream was to discover the lost history of the world, carrying the torch left to her by her island. Frankie, the 8th member and shipwright of the crew, wants to create a ship that the Pirate King will use, and he entrusts Luffy and the rest of the crew with this dream. His father figure and mentor built the ship for the previous Pirate King, and Frankie decided he would do the same. Brook, the musician and resident skeleton of the crew, wants to visit an old friend who he left behind when he left to journey the ocean. Because he ate the revive fruit, when the rest of his crew died 50 years ago, he came back to life and was forced to wander the sea for 50 years until he eventually came across the Straw Hat crew. He dreams of going back to the start of his journey and seeing if his old friend is still waiting for him to come back. The last member of the Straw Hats, Jinbei, dreams of creating a world where fishmen like him can live alongside humans without discrimination. As in the One Piece world, there is a certain degree of racism against fishmen that has led to their race being discriminated against and even killed. Those are just some of the dreams in One Piece that add to the theme of dreams in the series, as not only do the main characters have dreams, all the side characters also have dreams and aspirations, which is one thing that makes One Piece so enjoyable. Seeing these characters come closer and closer to achieving their dreams is a ride you don't want to miss. Another prevalent theme we can see in One Piece is the recurring theme of freedom throughout the series. We see Luffy and his crew repeatedly fight for freedom on different fronts, whether it be freeing a country from the tyrannical rule of pirates, which happens a couple of times, or Luffy freeing his brother and others from the strong fist of the world government. One example of this is when Luffy and the Straw Hats fight to free the island of Dressrosa from the tyrannical rule of the Don Quixote family. The Don Quixote family defeated the Old King, whom everyone loved, and then took over the island, turning the country into a corrupt nation where defectors were turned into toys, never to be seen by their loved ones again. When hearing about a story such as this, Luffy immediately decides to fight for their freedom without hesitating one bit, adding to the theme of freedom and fighting for it throughout the story. Oda conveys the idea that freedom can't be taken away from people, and that sooner or later, a freedom fighter, in the case of One Piece, Luffy, will come to fight for the freedom that people have taken away from them. These two themes are just two of the more prevalent themes throughout the One Piece story, but there are many other themes, like racism and family, found within the story arcs rather than the overarching plot.
The One Piece world is extremely expansive. It is split up into 4 different seas and split in half by a large rocky landform known as the Red Line. Unlike normal shows or literature that only focus on one aspect or place in the world, the One Piece story encompasses all parts of the world. The Grand Line is an important example of this, as it presents pirates with unique challenges as they try to traverse it. The route is known for its unpredictable weather patterns, perilous sea currents, and powerful sea creatures. The inherently dangerous nature of the Grand Line establishes a sense of adventure for both the Straw Hat crew and the readers that follow their journey across the line. However, what truly sets Oda's world-building apart is his ability to imbue each island within the Grand Line with a distinct culture, environment, and set of problems. Skypiea is an island literally in the sky, and because of that it is practically its own miniature universe. On a basic level, Skypeans have their own distinct food, clothing, and mannerisms that can't be found in almost any other society in One Piece. But to expand even further, they have their own special technology known as dials. These shells can essentially store energy and matter and are the basis for all of Skypiea's household items and transportation seen through their boats that can sail across the clouds. Because of the way Skypiea was separated from the rest of society, they've adopted their own form of government, unlike the rest of the world, who follows the rules of the world government. They have God, the strongest or most capable individual, who rules the entire land of Skypiea, followed by his heavenly priests, divine soldiers, and standard police force. Skypiea is just one of the many islands and countries Oda develops its own unique culture for. Oda even went so far as to create his own languages for certain different parts of the world and its history, which leads us to one of Oda's main world-building aspects, the Void Century. The Void Century is, as the name implies, a period of time that has been intentionally obscured and erased from the collective memory of all the world's inhabitants. As Luffy and crew travel on their journey, Oda gradually peels back the layers of obscured history, revealing ancient civilizations, archaeological landmarks, and lost kingdoms. These revelations shed light on the oppressive nature of the world government, the existence of ancient weapons capable of reshaping the world, and the underlying mysteries of the Grand Line itself. It turns the comedic story of a band of pirates attempting to find a grand treasure into a more complex story that delves into deeper world issues. The Void Century becomes a symbol of the oppressive forces that Luffy and his crew must overcome in order to become the greatest band of pirates and make Luffy the Pirate King. In essence, the Void Century in One Piece acts as a central pillar of world building, allowing the story to delve deep into the past and unravel the hidden truths that shape the present and future of the series. Overall, Oda's masterful world building and his ability to create a captivating and intricate fictional world is just another fraction of what makes One Piece such a compelling form of storytelling.
Throughout the story of One Piece, characterization plays a huge role in creating a compelling story to enthrall the reader. Character development and character relationships help create depth within the characters of One Piece. First, let's talk about some examples of character development in One Piece. Since there are too many characters to go over each one, I'll go over the character development of Robin, the crew's historian, and Usopp, the cowardly sniper. Robin, who was first introduced as an enemy of the Straw Hats, is the crew's historian and is one of the oldest members of the Straw Hats. She was born into an island of historians, who were all executed for coming too close to the truth of the past, and as the sole survivor, she took it upon herself to carry on her island's legacy and learn about the past. After her whole island was killed, a huge bounty was put on her head and she had to live on the run for 20 years, earning herself the title of Devil Woman. She joined her first pirate crew at 8. However, after the world government caught up with her new crew, they were all killed. Robin was then forced to flee. This is the first instance of Robin losing her crew while trying to run from the world government. Never being able to find a permanent home, she ran from place to place until she eventually joined a criminal organization, Baroque Works, which would end up being defeated by the Straw Hat crew. In the final fight between Baroque Works and the Straw Hats, Luffy saves Robin from being killed. Robin is astonished as to why she was saved by an enemy. This was her introduction to Luffy. After this, Robin joined the Straw Hats, slowly learning to enjoy life again. She really felt like she was part of the family. But in the back of her mind, she was always scared that her presence would lead to the destruction of the Straw Hats and she would lose the ones that she loved. This shows us just how weak her mental state at the time was. And after spending a decent amount of time with the Straw Hats, the crew lands at an island known as Water 7, which is a shipwright's paradise and a location strongly inspired with the canals of Venice. At this island, while walking about, Robin is approached by a masked figure, and the masked figure mutters something into her ear.
CP9 です。
After hearing this, she disappears all of a sudden, leaving the rest of the crew to wonder where she disappeared to. After a while, we found out that Robin left of her own volition, as the masked figure was a member of CP9, a group that carries out the dirty work of the world government. CP9, whose goal is to capture Robin, decides to give her a deal, offering that if Robin offers up her life, CP9 won't attack the rest of the Straw Hats. Robin, knowing that at the time CP9 would destroy the Straw Hat crew, accepts this offer, not wanting the fate that befell her previous loved ones to befall the Straw Hats, who have treated her so well. After learning about this, Luffy and the Straw Hats decide that they don't care if Robin willingly plans on giving up her life. They'll do whatever they can to save her. The Straw Hats chase CP9 and Robin to Annie's lobby, a government-controlled island. Once they arrive, Robin screams at the Straw Hats that she doesn't care about her life and that she doesn't want to be saved. But Luffy gets furious that Robin, his own crew member, is throwing away her life. When Robin finally realizes that her crew won't leave her to die, something breaks inside of her and she realizes that she wants to live. And in tears, she screams to Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats that she does want to live. This is one of the most iconic and powerful moments in One Piece, showing that Robin develops from this frail, hollow woman who couldn't care less about her life to someone who cares about her crew and wants to live. Next, I'll talk about Usopp. As the coward of the crew, we're able to see him develop and become more and more courageous as the story progresses. One example of Usopp's character development is when he gets into a fight with his own captain, Luffy. Usopp is greatly attached to the Straw Hat ship, Going Merry, since it was gifted to him by someone he greatly cared about. After the ship took a beating in the previous arcs, the Straw Hats, who all love the ship just as much as him, realize that they need a new ship since the Going Merry is beyond repair. Usopp believed that Luffy had abandoned the dignity of their crew, and during a heated argument, Usopp said that he was leaving the crew. That night, Usopp, the member who is typically a cowardly liar, challenges Luffy to a duel. After Luffy beats him in this duel, Luffy and Usopp go their separate ways, crying since they both lost people important to them, and creating a rift that would be very hard to fix. While separated from the crew, Usopp overhears the Straw Hats talking about how Robin was taken in by CP9, and Usopp realizes he can't remain idle, even if he's not part of the crew anymore, and decides to disguise himself as Soga King, or Sniper King, to help with Robin's rescue mission. This shows his courage as he willingly subjects himself to the danger of going to save Robin, something a younger him would never subject himself to. After saving Robin, as the Straw Hat crew is about to leave the island without Usopp, Usopp runs up to the ship and suggests that he should be invited to the Straw Hats again, but the whole crew ignores him since he was being cocky about being re-invited. Eventually, Usopp rejects his pride and in a heartfelt apology starts bowing down and crying, wanting to be let back into the crew. With this, Luffy tearfully pulls him into the ship and proclaims his crew is whole again. This rejection of pride shows his development from a prideful coward to someone brave enough to reject their pride and create an honest plea to join his friend's crew once again. Along with this, we see Usopp challenge scarier and scarier foes throughout the story, using his wit to defeat enemies who are much stronger than him. Even once scared of his enemy, Usopp does his best to face them in order to protect his friends, as he comes closer to becoming a great warrior of the sea. Another important part of the characterization in One Piece is the character relationships. First, I'll talk about Luffy and Zoro. While there is no one deuteragonist in One Piece, as each crew member is a vital part of the story, Zoro serves as the right-hand man of Luffy and acts as a perfect counterbalance to Luffy's nature. One important aspect of their relationships is their complementary personalities. Luffy and Zoro exhibit contrasting personalities serving as foils to each other. Luffy's carefree and impulsive nature, driven by his insatiable thirst for adventure, starkly contrasts Zoro's serious, disciplined, and goal-oriented demeanor. This contrast allows for enhanced character development and creates captivating narrative tension. Another part of their relationship is their physical attributes. Luffy's stretchy, rubber-like body and Zoro's exceptional swordsmanship skills provide yet another layer of foil. Luffy's ability to stretch and adapt signifies his flexibility and resilience, while Zoro's mastery of the sword symbolizes precision and unwavering determination. Their differing physical abilities emphasize their individual strengths, adding depth to their characters. Another part of Zoro and Luffy's relationship is their equal importance in the crew. While Luffy does assume the role of the protagonist, Zoro takes on the mantle of being a deuteragonist, serving as a secondary protagonist along with all the other Straw Hats and a crucial supporting character. Zoro's unwavering loyalty, formidable combat skills, and unwavering determination make him indispensable in the narratives. And another important part of their relationship is their shared objectives. Luffy and Zoro share a common goal, reaching their ambition's pinnacle. Luffy aspires to be the Pirate King, while Zoro seeks to become the world's greatest swordsman. This shared ambition strengthens their bond as they embark on their journey together, striving to overcome obstacles and support each other in their individual pursuits. Lastly, I want to talk about their character development. Luffy's carefree nature often clashes with Zoro's disciplined approach, creating opportunities for mutual growth. Zoro's serious demeanor helps ground Luffy, providing a moral compass and steering him away from recklessness, while Luffy's boundless optimism and unwavering faith in his crew inspires Zoro to push beyond his limits and embrace his true potential. Luffy and Zoro's interactions also often symbolize trust, mutual respect, and unwavering camaraderie. Zoro's willingness to lay down his life for Luffy exemplifies the unbreakable bond they share, while Luffy's unwavering belief in Zoro's abilities bolster his confidence. Together, they exemplify the epitome of teamwork and unity, their relationship serving as a cornerstone of the Straw Hat Crew's strength. Another great example of a strong and complex character relationship in One Piece is the relationship between the two weakest members of the crew, Usopp and Chopper. One important part of their relationships is their shared experiences. Both Chopper and Usopp initially joined the Straw Hat Pirates as outsiders, each carrying their own emotional baggage. Chopper, a reindeer with the ability to transform into a human, struggled to find acceptance due to his unique appearance, and similarly, Usopp, known for his tall tales and exaggerated stories, faced rejection and ridicule from others. Their shared experiences of feeling like misfits within society and the crew forged a strong connection between them. Along with this, Chopper and Usopp have both grappled with self-doubt and a lack of confidence. Plagued by his past as an outcast, Chopper initially lacked faith in his abilities and struggled to believe in himself. On the other hand, Usopp often doubted his worth as a warrior and feared confronting his own fears. Their parallel journeys of overcoming self-doubt and finding their place within the crew create a powerful bond of understanding and support. Another facet of their relationship is how they act as outlets for each other. Chopper's childlike innocence and genuine nature allows Usopp to drop his guard and share his fears and insecurities, and in turn, Usopp's empathetic nature and storytelling skills help Chopper navigate complex emotions and find solace in shared experiences. Similarly, Chopper and Usopp continuously uplift and inspire each other. Usopp's encouragement empowers Chopper to embrace his identity and develop his medical skills. Likewise, Chopper's unwavering belief in Usopp's abilities and storytelling fuels Usopp's confidence in his role as the crew's sharpshooter. Their unwavering support serves as a catalyst for personal growth and fosters a deep emotional bond. The last part of their relationship is how they both help each other reach new heights. Chopper and Usopp's friendship propels their individual growth and development. Chopper's interactions with Usopp encourage him to become more assertive and independent, shedding his insecurities and emerging as a valuable member of the crew, and Usopp's connection with Chopper allows him to mature emotionally, gradually finding the courage to face his fears and stand tall as a true warrior. All in all, these examples of character development and relationships in One Piece show just how good Oda is at creating layered and complex characters who interact with each other and develop along with the world around them. The element of characterization helps Oda convey a story while also supporting a major theme of friendship and camaraderie between the Straw Hat crew. Another thing that shows the effort Oda puts into making such a detailed and intricate story is his use of real-world history and mythology in writing the story of One Piece. Throughout One Piece, there are little pieces and references to historical events, people, and mythos that are used to show that the world of One Piece, while fictional, takes inspiration from the real world and the history that created it. One example of this is Impel Down, a prison in One Piece, which is based on Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy and the Nine Circles of Hell. Amazon Lily, an island of female warriors, is based on Themyscira, the capital of the Amazon nation from Greek mythology. Goldie Roger, the previous pirate king, is based on two real-world pirates, Olivier Levasseur and Henry Avery. Avery was the real-life king of pirates, or the highest known bounty in history, and Levasseur, at his execution, threw a cryptogram into the crowd and said, "Find my treasure, the one who may understand it." The cryptogram looked very similar to the poneglyphs seen in One Piece, which acted as guides to find the One Piece, and the line he yelled at his death being very similar to Goldie Roger's final words. Vivi Nefertari, the princess of Athabasca, a desert nation inspired by Egypt, is also a reference to history, as her surname, Nefertari, was an ancient Egyptian name used for queens and princesses, meaning the most beautiful. It was also the name of Ramses' wife. Mr. Four, a villain in the Athabasca arc, whose real name is Babe, uses a baseball bat to fight, a clear reference to Babe Ruth. Shandora, a city of gold found in the sky, is a reference to the mythological city of El Dorado. While there are a lot more, the last historical reference I'll mention is the Library of Ohara. This library, which was the largest in the One Piece world, was burnt down, which most likely serves as a reference to the Library of Alexandria, which was also burnt down. In conclusion, Eiichiro Oda's masterful use of historical references in One Piece is a testament to his storytelling prowess and the depth of his world building. By incorporating elements from various historical periods, cultures, and events, Oda not only adds richness and complexity to his narrative, but also invites readers to reflect on the echoes of our own history. From the Grand Line's exploration mirroring the Age of Discovery, to the government's corruption reminiscent of real-world political systems, Oda's historical allusions create a bridge between the fantastical world of One Piece and our own reality. By drawing inspiration from history and mythos, Oda infuses his manga with a sense of familiarity and resonance, enabling readers to connect with the characters and their struggles on a deeper level. Ultimately, Oda's skillful integration of historical references enriches the narrative tapestry of One Piece, elevating it from a mere adventure tale to a thought-provoking exploration of human nature and the enduring impact of history. Last but not least, foreshadowing is another way Oda weaves together the world of One Piece like a masterful tapestry. The first example of foreshadowing I'll talk about happens at the start of the series. After being caught by Marines, Luffy is scheduled to be executed similarly to the likes of the previous Pirate King. But right before being executed, he is saved by a mysterious figure we only know as Dragon at the time. The viewers are left wondering why such a powerful character would be introduced so early, and why they would save a no-name pirate like Luffy from being executed. Later on in the story, it's revealed that the dragon who saved Luffy was actually his father. Another example of foreshadowing is the introduction of a new power system in One Piece. At the start of the show, we are led to believe that the only powers in the show are the ones granted by devil fruits. But as the show progresses, we are shown glimpses of a power that doesn't align with those given by devil fruits. At the start of the show, when Shanks rescues Luffy, we see Shanks scare away the Sea King just by looking at him, and we're led to believe that this is just because of how scary Shanks is. Along with this, later on in the series, we see Enel, a self-proclaimed god, have the ability to see the future, something that shouldn't be granted by his lightning devil fruit. Lastly, we see Luffy unintentionally cause those around him to faint and feel fear when he is emotionally distressed. All these were hints to a new power system known as Haki, which allows one to strengthen one's own body, dodge attacks by seeing the future, and cause others to faint just by projecting your spirit. The last example of foreshadowing I'll address is the story of Laboon the whale. When first starting their journey, Straw Hats come across a lone whale known as Laboon. When we meet this whale, his guardian, a man named Crocus, tells the Straw Hats a story about the crew who traveled with Laboon when he was little, but they left him as they feared he would get hurt in their travels. Crocus tells the Straw Hats that the crew left 50 years ago, and Laboon has been waiting for their return ever since. Way later into the story, we meet Brook, a skeleton who lost his crew 50 years ago, and we learn his dream is to go back to the start of his journey to see if a certain whale was still waiting for him to return. This whale is actually Laboon, which shows just how good Oda is at interweaving different story elements to create an intricate story with hundreds of dots to connect. In conclusion, Eiichiro Oda's use of foreshadowing in One Piece is a testament to his skill as a storyteller and his mastery of the craft. By using subtle hints, visual cues, and cryptic dialogue, Oda creates a cohesive narrative, enhances character development, and creates suspense and excitement for the reader. All in all, Oda is able to masterfully use characterization, world building, foreshadowing, historical references, and themes in order to create a compelling and entertaining story used to convey themes of freedom, camaraderie, and pursuing your dreams.